feel like as a married woman, I completely understand the sex drought. It's so easy to fall into a sex drought or fall into that season in your marriage where it's just sexless because ain't nobody needs being met. Okay, think about it this way. If you require emotional connection, mental stimulation, right? You want intimacy, like you want to be vulnerable. And then you marry somebody who is the complete opposite, not vulnerable, don't really care to understand like real intimacy is very logical and always based in reality, like it's either black or white. And you communicate this to your spouse. You communicate, hey, I need this. I'm more of a mental stimulation. I'm more vulnerable. I'm more passionate with a lot of things. And their way of dealing with things is just like being dismissive. I don't care. Or stonewalling and shutting down, even in conflict, or never being the one that comes to take the initiative to fix a relationship. Ain't no bedroom rocking. It's just no bedroom rocking because ain't nobody needs being met, right? Like I was listening to this one guy. He was saying men really need sex because that's like their way of like intimacy. Like that's being intimate and vulnerable to them, right? So but as a woman, it's hard to want to give yourself when you feel like a piece of meat, almost like, what? You just gonna do this and there's no intimacy afterwards? Ain't no nothing? Boy, fuck you. And these are the things that you learn even after you got married. And the signs was always there before you got married. You just chose to ignore it, hoping that once you got married, a motherfucker would change. In order to fix that, I feel like you have to have two people that's willing to have a real conversation and be vulnerable and really be okay with saying, hey, let's sit down and lay this all out and let's fix this. Because if we don't, you are emotionally abandoning me, and eventually I'm going to physically abandon you. And in my opinion, emotionally abandoning your partner is on the same level as stepping out and cheating on your partner. I don't care what nobody say. Everybody always say, oh no, you could have just left before you cheated. Yeah, that's true. But you could have left if you knew you didn't have what it took to give your partner that emotional intimacy, because you can't have nothing real if there's no connection. If everything is just so fucking logical and black and white. You got to work on that. I'm telling you, you got to work on it. It's easy to get in the sex drought. Baby, been there, done that. Okay? These are honest conversations. Again, that most married people don't want to talk about. Like, you have to have these conversations in order to fix it and make it work.
So, ladies, you might not like what I'm about to say right now, but I need for you to listen. Ladies, in our relationships and in our marriages, we have to stop depriving our men of sex, okay? Let me tell you why. When you deprive your man of sex, it not only messes with him mentally, physically, and emotionally, but it also creates division in your relationship. See, ladies, sex is very important. And for some reason, we feel like after we get in a relationship or we get married, that it's no longer a top priority, when in actuality, it should be a top priority. Trust me, I get it. We, as women, we work now, we take care of the kids. We have a lot on our plate as well. And a lot of times we just don't prioritize sex. But here's the thing. If you're not prioritizing sex in your relationship or in your marriage, best believe that man is getting it somewhere else. And I hate to say it like that, but that's just what it is. And the thing is, a lot of times when we find out that man is getting sex elsewhere, we want to get mad and blame him and call him a cheater. But in actuality, if you just would have been giving him some 2 to 3 times out the week anyway, you probably wouldn't have had to worry about him sneaking down the street. You get what I'm saying? So ladies, let's just do better. Let's make it a point to start prioritizing sex in our relationships, okay?
Let's talk about sexless marriages, man. So, this is my thought about it. Never been married, but I see guys go through it. I think the number one thing, a lot of guys, you hear when you get married, the sex dry up, it ain't the same. And then you hear a guy be like, I've been with her 5, 6, 10 years, and we've been together that long. And it ain't never happened until we got married. You know what I'm saying? And, it's just to the fact that some women, especially Becky will play the long game. You know what I'm saying? Becky will play the long game. And I think that's the issue with a lot of black women. I think when you start getting into other cultures that got tradition and shit, they stick by their men. Most of them, the newer generations is changing with Indians and the Asian countries and stuff of that nature. They stick by their men because they believe in a tradition or they believe in the religion. So let me put that out there. Yeah, that's the big difference right there. But then when you get in, you think about it just in an American aspect of it, just regular American, don't believe in shit, don't believe in nothing, right? For real. They claim they be Christians, but they don't believe in it. Black women just play the short game. They can't mask what they are. They're going to show their hand regardless, and that's a lot of that reason is why they when they try to divest and marry out, they only do it at a 5% clip. You know what I'm saying? They only do it at a 5% clip. That's a huge reason why, because one thing I get of black women, they show you who they are up front. You know what I'm saying? And this is why they end up in relationships like 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and they be in relationships so long and they don't have a ring to show for it or a marriage to show for it. Most of them don't even know how to fake it till they make it past 90 days. But for the most part, I believe most of the men marry women that don't like them. Only a woman who don't like you is going to, and that's not sexually attracted to you, don't like you in general, is going to torture you like that without sex. That's just what it boiled down to. So ultimately, it's the man's fault. You did not see the signs. And the signs is always there in some capacity. Even if she never withhold the coochie into marriage, you see the signs. If a woman always threatened to leave you, you know what I'm saying? She feel like she run the relationship, or she feel like she better than you, or it's a lot of times when y'all get together, it's a lot of guys, they got married and they figure it's this, especially them simp baby boomers. You see they exposed Piers Morgan for being the simp baby boomer. They feel like I got to spend to get her submission. I got to spend to get cooperation. I got to spend for her not to throw that coochie somewhere else, right? It don't work like that. That shit come off respect and fear. And when the fear is not there, when the respect ain't there, it's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. It's like calling a peanut butter jelly sandwich without the peanut butter and jelly. That's the respect. The bread is the fear. You know what I'm saying? If they don't fear you in no way, shape, form, or fashion, it's a wrap. And however you want to take it, take it. They don't fear you're going to leave. If they don't fear you're going to do other things, stuff of that nature. When a woman know you can upgrade and you can leave and you can do better, even if she don't really like you like that, you know what I'm saying? She going to fall in line. I'm telling you. But when there's no like, no love, no attraction, because they really don't love nobody. They love what you can do most of the time. No attraction. She don't like you. She don't respect you. She don't fear you. That's how you end up in these sexless marriages. And I think a lot of these dudes got, they got, how can I call this, man? 'Cause I just made this up in my head. They got like blindness. They don't even know if a woman liked them or not. They all think that they supposed to buy a woman's like, they supposed to buy a woman's submission. They supposed to buy. You can't buy that, bro. That's why when you done messing with a woman, she go mess with a bum ass nigga, man. Or a dude who got less than you. Regardless, man, you can't buy it, man. It's just a respect thing. And when the attraction gets you through the door, everything else is set up by you. The attraction gets you through the door, for sure. But everything else that you put in play, as far as respect, fear, what you won't take, what you won't put up with. And once women start testing and seeing what you will or will up with, it could be with hypothetical questions. It could be them trying to do different things. Once you start failing them shit tests and she feel like she can get away with a lot, you failed. But the bottom line, a lot of these dudes end up in these sexless marriages, to keep it a being with you, because they end up with women who don't like them, who don't look up to them, who don't feel like they better than them, who don't feel like they above them, who ain't they attracted to. These women just played the long game, wanted your money, they settle for you. And don't think women is like withholding. They playing with the toys. They got somebody on the side knocking that shit out the box. And think about it. Even if you split and y'all been splitting the bills and shit, right? You don't feel as bad. But if you put everything into the marriage, you gave your real good effort into the marriage, you know, you put your best foot forward in the marriage, and then she split like a banana split, or she leave for no reason, that's when it's devastating. If she leave, you know, she leave because you cheated, at least you got something tangible to say, you know, I fucked up, I cheated. Woo, woo, woo. But when she leave and you did the best that you can, you went above and beyond. That's the backbreaker. You left, she left because, or she started tripping and or she cheated or something, you didn't cheat. That's the backbreaker. That's the backbreaker. I'm saying that right now. That's the backbreaker. You know, every hoe you gonna deal with from now on, you just gonna have PSGG. You ain't gonna never trust them. But that's the thing about it, bro. It's like, you gotta know the signs, man. You gotta know the signs. You gotta listen to them, man. A lot of women disqualify themselves for marriages, relationships, because the guys really they see what it is. They can see for what it is. They can see past the beauty. They can see past the booty. But when you in these marriages, man, yeah, fuck it. She gonna leave anyway, so she withholding the box from you, and there ain't no medical reason for it, bro. I mean, you can get a PI and see who the fuck she fucking. You can do that, you know. And before I would say I would do that, I would just start, you know, even any marriage that I was in, if I decided to get married for real, especially if I didn't have a prenuptial agreement or I got married with the government, to keep it a bean, bro, the number one thing I would do is I would always have a stash. I would always have a stash of precious metals, money, dime, something. I'll be stacking before I enter that. Shit that she didn't know about. If I had to put it in my son, my daughter name, my mama name, that shit, you know, I would have a stash of money that, you know, real talk. Women do this shit all the time. You can put a PI on her, you can just go down the legend and just fuck these hoes. A lot of times, once you start stepping out and doing your thing, it's unfortunate, and I only can really speak to black women because that's all I deal with. I only can speak to this. When you start doing your thing, you get better cooperation from them. You know what I'm saying? When you start acting like they don't exist, you start dogging them out, putting them on timeout, they violate, you demonstrate. Bro, you get way better cooperation from black women once you stop. For most black women, especially the uncivil ones, the ones that were raised to be wives and shit like that, you get better cooperation once you start dogging their ass out. I'm telling you, you get better cooperation once you start dogging them out. Tell me I'm lying. You get better cooperation. It's a fact. Come on, you not even fucking looking, bro. You turning out here and you not even looking, bro. Look out your fucking mirrors. Nah, driving ass motherfucker. Every pump these people got this morning is broke. But yeah, you get better cooperation. You get better cooperation from women, from black women, when you start treating them like they ain't shit. I remember I was dealing with this chick a while ago. She used to come over and shit, and it was strictly cheek busting time. And like, she got mad because, and I just had drove back from out of town, like 20 hours in like 3 or 4 days, right? I can't get this together this morning. And she like, I want to come over. I'm horny, but I'm like, cool, whatever. I just came back in town. So she didn't get her little nut or whatever. And she got an attitude and stormed out the crib, started tripping. And I ain't talked to that bitch for like 2-3 months. That bitch came back. I apologize. She acts so much better. I apologize. I'm sorry. I was tripping. All this shit, man. It's unfortunately that you know, and that's why, you know, a lot of guys ain't built to be with a black woman or a lot of American women, because a lot of them, you got to get uncivil to get them to be civil. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't got no motion and you can't get other bitches, man, I would just say stay away from most black women. The conventional black women that you see them, so stay away from them. You know, that's just what it is. No matter how well you treat them, you gotta, when they violate, you gotta demonstrate. And unfortunately, you might find it's still some out there that you ain't got to do that to, but the few far in between. But hey, hit the link in the description, follow me on X, or join me on Patreon. It's the only link in the description. Peace.
How do you know when you're in a sexless marriage?
So 1 to 2 times a month would be considered sexless. And of course, if you're not having any intercourse at all, then that would be it.
Is there a certain amount of times that maybe you have not just sex, but those intimate interactions with your partner that helps lead to a healthy sex life?
I would say that the sweet spot is twice a week. Now, of course, the disclaimer is everybody's different, but blah, blah.
We're going to get into 10 reasons why your wife wants a sexless marriage and talk a little bit about how it impacts a good man, how a sexless marriage impacts a good man and makes him feel. And then we'll get into the 10 reasons. So a sexless marriage defined by sex therapists is when a couple has sex 10 times or less in a year. That is considered a sexless marriage. I find it's on a spectrum, where that's the low end of the spectrum, where then a sexless marriage becomes 6 months without sex, a year without sex, 5 years without sex, 10 to 15 years without sex. On the high end of the spectrum, the longest I have heard is 45 years, the entirety of the marriage. And that is a sexless marriage. How it makes a man feel is completely demoralized and robbed of his sense of being a man. He loses his confidence. It's the breakdown of his essence of being a man. His self-identity as a man crumbles, and he is not able to succeed in life, which underneath all of our excuses we give as women in a marriage, why we aren't interested in sex or can't have sex, this is the end goal. The end goal is to make you feel crushed and destroyed, so you can't be successful. The deep, dark secret of a married woman is she doesn't want her husband to be successful. She wants him to fail so that it solidifies her victim story of why the problems in the marriage are all his fault, why he's a pathetic excuse of a man, and justify her poor behavior or justify her wanting to leave. Is because we know by withholding sex to that extreme and having a sexless marriage, it takes everything out of a man and breaks down his essence and identity of being a man. And in that, a man feels broken. He feels impotent in a sense of being incapable. He feels pathetic, embarrassed, betrayed, let down, rejected, demoralized, beaten down, and like a failure, which then can rob him of his ability to do life and work and show up as a dad and be his best to varying degrees. Some men are able to navigate it more easily, whereas other men get completely lost in this experience of the cruelty of his wife not giving him any sex or very, very, very little and having a sexless marriage. So getting into the 10 reasons why your wife wants a sexless marriage. Number 1, she never wanted to have sex in the first place. It was a ruse in the beginning of the relationship. She only had sex to get what she wanted, the security of marriage, checking the box of getting married, or wanting kids and knowing she needed you in the marriage to be able to do that. So after having kids, she stops having sex because she never wanted sex in the first place. Number 2 of why your wife wants a sexless marriage. Number 2, sex is not important to her. That is, women, we are so selfish and so self-centered and feel no obligation to fulfill our wifely duties in having sex and enjoying it, and strings you along through her excuses and stories that you buy into, that she does still want it and will tease you just enough and give you just enough to make you believe she still wants it until she gives up on sex and decides how much to let you have it or not at all, because it's not important to her. Number 3 of why your wife wants a sexless marriage. Number 3, she feels so bad about herself. She doesn't want anything that gives her pleasure. You have to recognize that all the ways that your wife treats you in the woman ways I talk about, being controlling, being bitchy, being a bully, or controlling ways, being a nag, constantly complaining, blaming you, making you the problem. All those behaviors make us feel really bad on the inside because we see and know what we're doing, and it doesn't make us feel good about ourselves. So she doesn't want to have sex because it might actually make her feel good. And she needs all the bad feelings inside of her to keep her victim story intact, because we don't recognize in our victim stories and putting the blame outside of us, we don't recognize we're causing the awful feelings we have about ourselves internally. We believe it's you. So if we actually allowed ourselves to have pleasure and feel good, it would actually crumble our victim story. And we don't want anything that makes us feel good, so we can maintain the victim story. Number 4, she wants to prove how unhappy she is and how terrible the marriage is. She buys into her own stories. Those stories being, I'm so tired and exhausted. I'm giving to everyone. No one's giving to me. I have nothing left inside of me. I'm drained. There's no way that I can have sex. And we believe in our stories because we want to prove how unhappy we are and how terrible the marriage is. Number 5 of why your wife wants a sexless marriage, the feminist movement. In the feminist movement, it's my body, my choice. If I don't want to have sex, you have to respect that because I'm entitled to that. And I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. No one can tell me. It's up to me. I have agency over my own body. Number 6, there's nothing in my vows or the Bible that requires me to have sex once I'm married. And she lives in that story. Who made this up? Tell me where I signed, or tell me where in my vows that I agreed to continue having sex. So again, we want to reinforce all of our stories to not have to have sex. Number 7, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. You're not telling me what to do. If I don't want to have sex, I'm not having sex. And if it's your idea, I definitely don't want to do it. We're addicted to doing what we want when we want with no regard for another, certainly our husbands, and how that might impact them. Number 8 of why your wife wants a sexless marriage. We want the problem in the marriage. We want the problem of a sexless marriage because that allows us to, again, reinforce our victim story of why things are so awful. And if we solved the problem, which is one of the biggest problems in a marriage, is sex, if we solved the problem, we would have nothing to complain about, nothing to point the finger at of why we're so unhappy. So we want the problems in the marriage. So we want the problem of sex. In this case, the problem being he wants it and I don't, and I should be entitled to not have to have it. And we want the problem to continue and get worse and worse and worse, to be able to point the finger out and blame. Number 9 of why your wife wants a sexless marriage. We feel like we've paid our dues. We feel like we paid our dues. I don't want to do it anymore. I've put in my time. I've put in the effort, and I shouldn't have to if I don't want to. So deal with it. And this is just what happens in a marriage. And number 10, the most important, or most important to understand for both of us as women and for good men. Number 10, why your wife wants a sexless marriage. It is part of the ultimate emasculation and control. We know how important sex is to a man, and withholding it and cutting it off in a marriage for a marriage to be sexless weakens a man and puts us in an ultimate control in the marriage. And it's really important we realize we're doing that as women so that we can break out of it and change. And it's important for a good man to know that, so you understand what's really happening and break out of the gaslighting of the excuses and stories you've been made to believe. And those are the 10 reasons why your wife wants a sexless marriage.